Hello, and welcome back to the Striha Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Parker Striha, and on today's episode, we are going to be discussing the two NBA trades that happened this past weekend. I'm by no means a professional, but I do love talking about sports, so thank you for joining me. Like my Pro Bowl rant video, this video is going to be pretty much unedited. I'm going to be going over both trades, giving my input on both of them, and then talking about all the teams going forward this season. So Friday saw a pretty odd trade between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Trail Blazers are trading Norman Powell and Robert Covington for Eric Bledsoe, Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow, and a 2025 second-round pick via the Detroit Pistons. I believe I'm very unbiased with this because I'm not a fan of either team. I think this was a horrible trade for the Trail Blazers. They got pretty much nothing back in return that's going to be meaningful for their team. Obviously, Keon Johnson is really young still. Justice Winslow is, I think, in his early 20s. Bledsoe, I think, is pretty close to 30. He's around there somewhere. I just don't like this trade. Considering they just traded for Norman Powell last year, I think, and they gave up first-round picks to get him. And now they're giving him up with Robert Covington for pretty much nothing. I mean, the rich get richer. I think the Clippers just got a lot better. Robert Covington hasn't been having a great year, but he's a good defender that can come in and he can put up 10, 15 points if need be. I wouldn't rely on him to score that many points, but it's very possible. And Norman Powell has actually been having a really good year. He's averaging almost 19, 20 points, I think. So he adds a valuable scorer to the Clippers team that is already in contention for a top seed in the West. And that's really all there is to it. The Clippers just got a lot better. Trailblazers got a lot worse. I think other than Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons, Norman Powell was really all they had going for them. And now they lost him. So I think the Trailblazers are pretty much just going to bottom out this year. I don't see Damian Lillard wanting to come back to play for a bad team. He'll probably rest his injury and then either try to push for a trade or try to get someone to come join him, but I don't see anything big happening with the Trailblazers this year. I think they're bad. They're going to stay bad if they keep doing stuff like this, but oh well, it is what it is. There was also a trade yesterday between the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I actually really liked this trade for both sides. The Cavaliers receive Karis LeVert and a 2022 second-round pick via the Miami Heat, and the Indiana Pacers receive Ricky Rubio, a lottery-protected 2022 first-round pick, a 2022 second-round pick via the Houston Rockets, and a 2027 second-round pick via the Utah Jazz. So like I said, I really like this pick. I think it's a win-win for both of them. I want the Pacers to tank, trade all of their good players, get as many assets as they can, and just rebuild that team because they've been average for so long and they have nothing to show for it. But the Cavaliers are getting Karis LeVert, who can instantly come in, be a contributor on a really young, promising team, who I think is a top 3 or a top 4 seed in the East right now, which nobody saw coming, but now they add another young piece who I believe is up for a contract extension at the end of this year, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. I think they should bring him back because he adds wing depth that they don't really have, but I can see another team offering him a contract that the Cavaliers just don't want to match because I think they'll also have to try to re-sign Colin Sexton. That Miami Heat second-round pick, pretty much worthless. I think Miami is the first seed in the East right now, if I am remembering correctly. Stuff could obviously go wrong, and they could completely miss the playoffs, but I don't see that happening. But that's most likely going to be a late second-round pick if Miami does make a good playoff push. For the Pacers, they're getting Ricky Rubio, who was a huge piece in the Cavaliers being good this year, but then he ended up tearing his ACL, unfortunately. So I don't really know how he was a part of this trade. I didn't think you could trade players that were injured, especially for this period of time, because he's going to be done for this year and probably a good part of next season. So I don't know how he was included, but I guess I don't really understand the inner workings of the NBA like that. The lottery protected pick, not really going to affect much. Cavaliers aren't going to be picking in the lottery because they're a top seed in the East. The second round pick from Houston will be really good. I think Houston's awful this year, so that pick is probably going to be very high in the second round, so it could almost be considered a first round pick. And then the 2027 second round pick via Utah, I don't know. Those kids are like middle school right now, high school right now. I don't know what the Utah Jazz are going to look like, so I think it's too early to tell for that pick. But overall, I think this was a great trade. I think the Cavaliers got a lot better, and the Pacers are slowly starting to tank and rebuild, which is good. They need to do that. Now they just need to trade Sabonis and Turner, and I will be a happy non-Pacers fan. I don't care for the Pacers. I'm not a Pacers fan, but I will be happy as an NBA fan seeing them get rid of their good players to try to rebuild this team to the prominence it once was when guys like Reggie Miller were there. I'm your host, Parker Striha, and this has been the Striha Sports Podcast. Our random sport fact of the day is that American swimmer Katie Ledecky has the second most Olympic medals by a female swimmer with 10. As always, thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for whenever a new video gets posted.